Lead it out. Moose is leading the way. Let's go. Okay, now I know I've done some bike builds in the past here on GCN with some, well, we'll just call them mixed results. There was the steerer tube fiasco. I cut it too short. Then there was the brakes situation. Anyways, not important. Today, I'm gonna be undertaking something that I've not done before. I'm gonna be building up a white Pinarello Grevil gravel bike from scratch, and I've got some cool kit to go along with it. A brand new SRAM Red Axis group set, ZIPP 303 straight out of the box, and some Pirelli gravel tires to go with it. I'm gonna take that bike out on a sweet ride, and then I'm gonna come back and do a pro bike and show you all the details. All right, I've got just about everything out of the box, all done up. Now I'm gonna mount the stem and the bar on there. Then I'm gonna put the shifters on, then the cranks, brakes, etc., etc. So let's do this. Since I've already had a Grevil, I know sort of where this is all gonna match up, and I know that this is the only spacer that I need on there. I'm gonna work on the cutting that stuff another time. I'm just gonna leave that chimney on there for the moment. Who doesn't love a good chimney? Just gonna make my life a little bit easier tonight, not having to deal with cutting that and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna leave that there for right now. And I'll deal with that at another time. All right, we'll mount these shifters up here. This one goes on this side. There's one. Let's see if I can't get this. All right, so I'm just putting the bottom bracket in on this now. It's a threaded Italian Kogel BB. Something that I have not really had a lot of experience with, but I used it on my last Pinarello Grevil that I had, which I am borrowing the skewers from, by the way, in case you were wondering where those came from. I'm borrowing them from that bike. But yeah, this goes in pretty smooth, real simple, but this is the bottom bracket that they have spec'd with this bike. So they sent this through, and I'm just tightening it up on both sides here with this Park tool. It's called the BBT79. Just putting that on like this, and I will spec it to torque after, but no problems. I applied a lot of the muck off bio grease on there so that it had a nice firm seal, but with the threaded bottom brackets, obviously a lot less likelihood of creaking and stuff like that. And this one has the cyclocross seals and it's ceramic, so it's definitely really, really nice for especially riding around where I live. There's gonna be a lot of precipitation, a lot of nasty weather that this bike's gonna come into contact with. And then there's gonna be all of the, of course, dirt roads, dust and stuff like that in the summer, sweat, among other things. So going with a high quality BB like this, definitely gonna let the longevity of this area here in the bike go for a long time. I'm happy about that. So let's torque this up. Next up, we've got our bottom bracket here. Pretty sure this puppy uses at least one of these spacers. I will find out once I get this on. But I'm gonna need some more grease. Grease, grease, grease. Lots and lots of grease. I'm actually gonna go this route with this. That way, that'll make that a little bit easier. I'm thinking that it's this one here, but I might be wrong. It will only be one of those. So let's see what we get here. One spacer too many. Let's peel that one off. Okay, so the crank is on, no problems there. Got the spacers right. It's spinning real smooth. No qualms about that. Very happy with how that's looking, sounding, feeling. Gotta clean up some grease on this side, but yeah, other than that, whew, looking good. Going with the big gears here, the 4835 today. Got the power meter in there. Big gear for a gravel bike, but I plan on doing quite a bit of road riding on this, so that's why I chose it. All right, so I've been able to get the crank set on, the bottom bracket in. Now I'm just working on everything here with the seat post. This is going rather quickly and smoothly, so I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out thus far. And so this is something that I've already worked on here. Let's see, nope, it's not a 4, that's a 5, which I have right here. I've got these T-handled wrenches from Park Tool, which have been sweet. So I've been really enjoying using these today on this build because it makes things go so much faster. Of course, like everything on this bike, I need to put some grease on this bolt to make sure that I don't have it seize up on me later, which, you know, that's the thing about a proper build. I just say tons and tons of grease is kind of my go-to. It's like every bolt that you can get grease on, because otherwise things will be dropping off like that. All right, I've got to get this rear derailleur on here. Put a little bit of grease again. Now the rear derailleur is the SRAM Red axis, and as you all know, wireless, which is gonna save a guy like me a lot of time when I go to set this bike up. So I know how to do it because I've been riding SRAM for quite a while, but it's a pretty simple process. You just put the batteries on the back here, and then you go up front, you basically hold the button under here, it starts blinking, you hold the button here and here, and then before you know it, everything starts working and talking to each other. It's quite cool. So I'm gonna get this front derailleur on here now and set this up as well, and we should be on our way. We're pretty close already, to be honest with you. So looking forward to getting this one, these derailleurs hung and this stuff on here. This is the fun part. This is where all the magic happens. This is where all the good stuff goes down. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so I have got a lot of stuff done so far. I've got the brakes on, which are huge. That takes such a long time to be able to get the brakes strung through all these holes and be able to get them through there. I had to use a cable, like basically just a shifter cable, string it through here, get it through this mesh thing, and then get it up here, and then the same goes down here. Everything is very complex and takes me a lot of time to get that done. Now I need to put the brakes on, which is gonna be a whole nother thing, and do the hydraulic fluid, which is not my best part, but it's really the last hurdle. Now at this point, I just need to put the pedals, chain, mount the tires up, put the cassette on, and yeah, I mean, I'm really close. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. It didn't take as long, nearly, as I thought. My favorite part of all of these builds, we're going after these rear brakes now, just getting this opened up, trying to do my best to not spill a ton of fluid all over the ground like I did last time, but these brakes seem to be a lot better, a lot easier to work with than the last rendition that I was using. For some reason, I've had such a less of a hard time today getting this finished out. So obviously there is some brake fluid that's going on the ground, but not pouring out like last time, thankfully. Overall, about 10,000 times better than the last time I did that. All right, I'm all hooked up on my hydraulic bleeds here. So I'm just sending through, tapping out anything that might be left in the system. This is like my third go back and forth now between these two. And I can tell you I've not dropped a single drop of hydraulic fluid on the ground thus far. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself I do have to say the new Red system is quite a bit better to work with than the old one. So I'm gonna cap there, cap here, and tighten it off. Voila, and then I can just pull this out. Yep, and that is infinitely easier to work with than the last time I did this. So give myself a little credit in that department. I'll wipe that away. I would say that is a freaking success, because obviously the last time that I did this, it was not that easy for me. But this time around, I can honestly say I did not get one single drop on the ground. And for that, I'm pretty happy. All right, now we can get these on, which are pretty quick with these center lock deals. So, boom, and then real quick leg. All right, that's one. And that's two. Great. Okay, now we can start mounting up these tires. All right, I'm gonna head out, hit this with some air. So let's get this going. All right, team, I've got my chain on here, and now I'm just gotta work on like the small details. I've gotta wrap the bars, I've gotta get the brakes nailed in, like the adjustments here with the T25s. I gotta get just a little bit of measurements. I gotta tighten up the headset, wrap the bar if I didn't already say that. I'm looking pretty close to being done with this machine. So record build time, made easy by thanks to SRAM with the disc brakes, although getting them through the frame was my enemy this time around. Not as big a deal as the last time, so I'm definitely getting better at this. Really happy to report that. I mean, as you should, right? So a little bit more work to do here, but I'm very close. So now over a year and a half ago, I did my pro bike on my Pinarello Grevil. And although I'm gonna go through a lot of the specs on this bike, this time I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about why I built this bike up the way that I did this time around. After having used the last one for about 18 months, I have a little bit of a different vision and direction for this build that I put together here today. So first things first, generally for me, this is exactly the same bike, although I did go different on the handlebars. This time I'm using an aluminum bar from Pinarello's in-house brand, Most. I went for a 44 instead of a carbon 42. These bars, like many gravel bars, have a flared bottom on them in the drops. And that's really, for me, I like it when I'm in single track or loamy stuff to be able to have more leverage than I would if I was on a traditional road bike bar. So I went a little bit wider up top with the 44 over the 42. Then I went with a little bit more of a flare in the bottom just so I could have it be, well, not feeling too narrow in the trails. Now, similar to my other Grevil, I'm also running ZIPP 303 Firecrest wheels, but this is their brand new, more refined version. They come with a 30mm outside width, a 25mm internal rim width, and then a 40mm depth on them. I've also thrown Pirelli's 40C Cinturato H tires on there, and we're looking at ZIPP's all-new hub on this, which is called the ZR1DB, which has more engagement points and ZIPP says is better suited for inclement weather. Now I'm using Pirelli's Cinturato Grevil H tire. It's a semi-slick, it's 40C, and as you saw during the build, it is tubeless. Now I like to run 40C gravel tires, as you've heard me say in other videos, because of the versatility that you're gonna get off-road. When you go smaller than that, the possibility of flatting becomes higher and it can have a much harsher ride. These tires have some knobs here on the side and a nice center, kind of slick area down the center so that when you're riding on pavement, they go quickly, or if you're on maintained gravel, they also aren't holding you up and slowing you down with a lot of knobs in the center. Now, another change that isn't necessarily performance related, but does come in handy given my job right now and how much I travel with my bike, this has center lock rotors on these 303s versus the last time I had the 6-bolt pattern. Now these are super easy to take on and off, as you saw in the edit earlier. Every time that I have to go on the plane, I have to take my rotors off. So I'm easily saving 5 to 10 minutes each side of the trip, which means that I'm gonna have a lot more rotors to go around at the end of the year. And well, I'm gonna be a lot happier because it doesn't take me as much time. This bike does really well on the road. It's aero, it has enough road characteristics to make it competitive, but it's also very versatile off-road. That's what it's designed for. So with this in mind, I went with a bigger range up front, 48-35 up front, and then a 10-33 cluster in the back. Before, I was using a 46-33 and a 10-33. Now, I probably won't get the 48-10 spun out on this 40C tire, but next time I go on a road ride, I could definitely see myself getting into the lower half of the cog set in the 48 and being really happy with how I set this up. And then the last time we did this video, there were a lot of comments about the frame size that I was running. Now, I'm running a size small frame because, well, I really like a super low front end when I'm going, even on my gravel bike. And this small frame does me just fine. It allows me to get really low in the front, which I personally like. Many gravel bikes, if you've noticed, come with super high head tubes, which naturally, for me, isn't where I like to see it. This Pinarello is a little bit different in the way that they approach the geometry, which is why I chose a small. Now, another question that I hear often about pedals is road or mountain bike. I personally really like using mountain bike pedals on my gravel bike. Yes, if I'm gonna go out on a 5 or 6 hour road ride, I may switch over to some road pedals, assuming that I'm not gonna see any streams or river crossings or things like that. But traditionally, I go for my gravel bike having mountain bike pedals on it, like these Crank Brothers here, because I wanna be able to get off, walk around in the dirt, and then not have to worry about the repercussions of having my road cleats get into there and then having problems clipping in and all that stuff. No, I just go with mountain bike pedals on my gravel bike. Okay, well, as you can tell, today's a big ride. Did not pan out exactly how we were hoping. It is pouring rain here today, so I got a better idea. I'm actually gonna roll out from my place. We're gonna do some local trails, give my brand new Grevil a bit of a first introduction to some proper New England fall/winter riding. And I'm gonna take my dog with me. We're gonna have a blast. There's some beautiful rivers, some really great trails, and it's gonna be a proper day of some fun gravel. So let's go. Monster! So far, the 35-33 has been great. I have not really noticed the difference between the two teeth. You know, there may be a point coming up where I do, but yeah, for the moment, it's been pretty great. And I'm riding, you know, some like logging roads or old dirt roads, really old dirt roads right now. So, you know, I think that this is where you would use those smaller gears for sure. And yeah, I'm not needing them. Huh, Moose. Come on, Moose. To give Moose a bit of a break. He's not a young whippersnapper anymore. I'm gonna open up this. I do this all the time. Back in the day, Moose is gonna enjoy this stream. But back in the day, when I did trail maintenance classes or school up in Vermont, they taught us how to do these. So basically we've got, this has been here, I've opened this up before, but this helps the trail from not getting completely eroded. Moose, are we ready? Are we ready to keep moving? Ready for eating something, Dad. So as you can tell, that's kind of the stuff that I like, those wider bars in going down, that really technical stuff. And I'm able to just handle the bike so much better when I'm wider and lower. And yeah, that's why I opted for that. A little bit wider up top and then just a wider flare all around. It's just a much nicer way to descend if you're gonna be using such a big wheel, kind of narrow tired bike off-road like this. So yeah, I've just learned that over the last year. A little wider, makes a little bit more leverage, a little lower, a little wider, lower center of gravity, that kind of stuff. Ow! All right, Moose and I are heading back. Can't be running this old guy. I heard that, Dad. All right, well, that is a wrap on the Grevil, the all-new. I believe this colorway is called Asteroid or something of that nature. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Let us know down in the comments what you would have done differently if you built up your dream gravel bike. Thanks for watching as always. Moose, let's get home.